I am tentatively encouraged by this. Again, I'm not sheepdogging for them, telling you to love them. If they cave again, I will be the first to go nuclear. But this is a lot better than preemptively surrendering, which has been what they've done. So Jayapal, that clip, basically telling the CNN stooge, well, they could say what they want, but that's good. I like the sound of that. This next Ro Khanna clip, I do not like. Colin, if you could play Democracy Now! Ro Khanna on there.
Maybe what most people don't realize, this $3.5 trillion is not going to be spent this year.
Thank you, Amy, for making that clarification. It is over 10 years. People don't talk about the fact that over those same 10 years, we're going to spend $7.5 trillion on defense. When they talk about defense, they use the one-year number. But when they're talking about social investments, human investments, they use the 10-year number. So this is $350 billion over the year. The other point that is worth making is that the progressives have been willing to have a conversation. We are willing to engage in a dialogue with the White House, with Senator Manchin, with Senator Sinema, of how we get this done. The question is, are they going to engage in that dialogue? We still haven't heard what Senator Manchin and Senator Sinema are for. They keep saying what they're against. What we want to know is, what are they for?
So, Jen, I have a lot to say on that, so you go first.
I'm disappointed. You know, Ro Khanna has been great on so many issues. He's very extraordinarily wealthy from his wife. So that, of course, always deserves scrutiny and raises eyebrows. But for the most part, his votes are good and progressive. Back when I was on the writing team of Justice Democrats and Brand New Congress, way back when they first got started. And we had a Medicare for All thing in DC, trying to push Congress members to, sign on to whatever bill was in play at that time. I can't recall. It was 5 years ago or something. And Ro Khanna, and unfortunate what happened later, but John Conyers, Ro Khanna and John Conyers were the only two who showed up from Congress. So I've always kind of thought, okay, this guy means business. That wasn't a highly attended event by any means. Justice Dems was just getting started. I think we had less than 10 people show up, and they came out. There wasn't a ton of media. I think like Daniel Marins was there, and he did a write-up later, but that's it. So it wasn't like a photo op. So I've always thought that, Ro Khanna is good. Like, he means for out of our Congress members, Ro Khanna is a good one and can be swayed to be even more progressive. That's what I felt about him. What he just said there, I don't like, because him saying, okay, we're willing to talk to the White House, we're willing to talk to other members with questions, that to me is a signal of, we're willing to capitulate. We're willing to have some wiggle room. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. It's not a strong stance at all.
I'll be less diplomatic than you. And by the way, I won't go into detail, but I happen to know Ro Khanna occasionally has not liked some of my tweets or whatever, YouTube videos. So whatever. I'm not against him as a person, but he's a public servant, and I'll politically give him a lashing if I choose. But would love to interview you. You're dealing with a political terrorist, Ro Khanna. Joe Manchin is a political terrorist. So is Kristen Sinema, whatever the hell she is. Did you send me the link that she was did an internship last summer as a senator?
If we have time later, we'll pull it up. But yes, Kirsten Sinema was a paid intern last summer.
Where?
At a winery.
Maybe that's why she goes in front of Congress.
I don't know if she's a mom, but truest sense of wine mom.
Maybe she was drunk when she went like Clueless style and put her thumbs down.
She's just the worst. I really want to dig into her background. Like, how do you go from Green Party to that?
Yeah. So Ro, if you're watching, I don't want to hear about dialogue. We're willing to have dialogue. The bar was 6 trillion. Okay. Bernie put the bar at 6 trillion. There was a lot more in there for climate, which your California is on fire, not to mention drought, not to mention extreme temperatures.
Yeah.
So I understand. And obviously this is just how he is. Ro Khanna's style is to be cordial, talk about negotiation, talk about we'll have some dialogue, this and that. Where has that gotten you, Ro? Seriously. And I know, it's easy for a YouTube host to say that, and I'm not in there and I don't know everything, but where has this diplomacy gotten you? And let's extrapolate beyond Ro Khanna. Where has it gotten Pramila Jayapal? Where has it gotten AOC in the squad? Right? AOC has been diplomatic in a nauseating way, and she's been passed over for committees and other things. So when you say we're willing to have dialogue with Senator Manchin on what? You know what he wants. The Intercept has reported it. I mean, The Intercept obtained audio of secret calls he had with donors, basically explaining to them what he was going to tank on behalf of those donors. You know what he wants, and that is he doesn't actually want anything. It's all about what he's to stop. So when you say, well, they haven't told us what they're for is nothing. Status quo, maintaining the subsidies to coal and fossil fuckers. I don't know what Kristen Sinema is for other than, there's been video captured of Kristen Sinema talking to business owners in Arizona and basically in nice words saying, I'm here for you guys. So I don't understand why you think, Ro Khanna, the best public position should be being cordial when A, you got the public on your side and they want you to fight. DC is not real life. Outside of DC, outside of CNN, people think Joe Manchin is the political arsonist, not you guys. So I think, and Jayapal kind of sort of had it down better than her usual talk. I think you should say, yeah, no, we've already had a dialogue. We have already compromised and then some on several bills, including the original Coronavirus Relief Act, including the 1.9 trillion COVID relief bill, which we compromised for Joe Manchin. The unemployment, if you remember, in the coronavirus deal in January, that unemployment went down from $400 a week to $300 a week for Joe, the hijacker Manchin. The term of when it would expire was shrunk, so less amount for less amount of time because of Joe Manchin. So, the $15 minimum wage, this parliamentarian who also just ruled, which is a joke, that you can't have.
We should talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that you can't have. She just ruled again. This unelected, by the way, non-binding position. Her rules are not binding. It's just advisory.
It's insane.
Advice is like assholes. Everybody has them. So,
well,
she just ruled that in the 3.5 trillion deal, you can't have legal status for undocumented immigrants.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about the parliamentarian too, because we haven't yet. But my question is, do these folks, does Ro Khanna, Pramila Jayapal, AOC, even going to the Senate, Bernie, Elizabeth Warren, Schumer, do they have a PR strategy? Like, how closely are they coordinating their messaging? It has to be somewhat, right? But
to me, and I'm just going to be flat, whether Ro Khanna likes it or not, the only dialogue you should be having and the only people you should be dialoguing with, Ro, and I would say get all these other people in the van, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Cori Bush, get them all in a van or whatever you could fit. The dialogue you should be having is with the people of West Virginia. Get your behinds down to West Virginia.
You can even use my van. Jordan loves my van.
Yeah, I don't understand. That's a real hazard, her van. I don't understand. I don't understand this. He's not naive. These are all smart people. This continued repeating the same failed strategy of let's have dialogue, or, you know, we're willing to come to the table. You've already gone to the table, okay? And they've eaten your lunch. So now is the time, with public sentiment behind you, just like it was behind you, by the way, with Force to Vote, go to West Virginia, get in front of rallies, bring Bernie with you, and shame this man.